Today, I'm excited to welcome Reverend Daishin McCabe, who will be lecturing us. The title of his lecture is No Mountain Stands Alone. Reverend Daishin Eric McCabe is a priest in the Soto Zen School of Buddhism in Japan, studying ecology and the world's religious traditions at Bucknell University, where he received his BA in 1995, prepared him for life as a Zen priest. His early mentors were Professor John Grimm and Mary Evelyn Tucker, with whom he studied interreligious dialogue with a special interest in Indigenous lifeways. He subsequently apprenticed with Reverend Dai-En Bennage Roshi of Mount Equity Zendo for 15 years. And during this time, he trained at several Soto Zen Monasteries in Japan, as well as in France with the Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh. In 2013, he continued training in the art of spiritual direction and chaplaincy at Wellspan Hospital in Pennsylvania. He's recognized as a Zen teacher by the Japanese Soto Zen Headquarters. In addition to working with Zen fields, Daishin teaches at the Nebraska Zen Center in Omaha and offers trauma-sensitive yoga for mental health at Broadlawns Hospital and Mary Greeley Medical Center, and lectures on the world religions at Des Moines Area Community College. He resides with his wife, Reverend Sarah G. Sho Siebert, and their son, Malcolm, in Ames, Iowa. Welcome.
They have a baby too.
And they have a baby. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Wow,
Yes.
is there a lot to live up with, words to live up to? I will do my best. Thank you so much for that introduction. When I hear that, I'm thinking I haven't done enough, or maybe I'm doing too much. I'm not sure which. But in any event, Teijo, thankfully, she asked me to. You guys were planning a Shinzan Shiki, a mountain seat ceremony, and within a year's time or so, and she asked me to say something about it. I'm going to speak from my experience on that a little bit. I'll share a little bit, kind of give you an introduction, then elaborate a little bit, show a slideshow of some images from a couple of Shinzan Shikis that at least one that I participated in, and then open up for questions and dialogue. That's my plan for this talk. So first is here's the thing that I think maybe we might be wrestling with, is that in the midst of great personal suffering, the suffering of our country in many different angles, the suffering of our world in so many different ways, in profound ways. Amidst all of this suffering, you are choosing to have a celebration. That's the mountain seat ceremony. It's a celebration. It's a celebration of not just of your teacher for sure, but of your whole Sangha, of your whole community. And it's meant to bring everybody together and see our vast interconnectedness. I was looking at your website and I wanted to know a little bit more about Great Tree and how that name came to be. And I saw that it was inspired by something that Katagiri Roshi said. A great tree is a tree that reaches in many directions and nourishes all beings. There's something about trees that I think is symbolic of the Shinzan Shiki. We are so deeply indebted to the trees that are all around us. And to name a temple after a tree seems extraordinarily appropriate. And the mountain seat ceremony also is an acknowledgement. It's an acknowledgement of all of your interconnectedness beyond what you can imagine. But you get to see just a little glimpse of it when all of these priests come to converge on your temple for a weekend. It's just an amazing experience. So I wanted to share the first paragraph from the Avatamsaka Sutra. It's about the tree of enlightenment. What we're doing with the Shinzan Shiki is It's a it's a celebration of the enlightenment of the Buddha. It's a reenactment. It's almost like a play. The Shinzan Shiki is almost like a play. You have different people doing different things at different times, and they're moving around in a dance. It's kind of a dance. And you get a flavor of that dance by reading the Avatamsaka Sutra and its description of the Tree of Enlightenment. Let's read this. This is from the very first paragraph of the entire book, and this Avatamsaka Sutra is quite a book. All right, so the very first one. Thus have I heard. At one time, the Buddha was in the land of Magadha in a state of purity, at the site of enlightenment, having just realized true awareness. Right? We got to imagine ourselves there. That's what the Shinzan Shiki is about. It's imagining ourselves there at the seat of enlightenment. Right? The Buddha just attained enlightenment. There's this huge tree, this huge Bodhi tree that, maybe it's 1,000 years old. And he's sitting at the foot. I just attained enlightenment. That's a Shinzan Shiki. Your entire Sangha just attained enlightenment. Just think of it in that way. Imagine. The ground was solid and firm, made of, listen to this, diamond. The ground was made of diamond. If you can't see that the earth that you're standing on is as valuable as diamond, you're not practicing. That's what our practice is about. See the diamond nature of reality all around you. Adorned with exquisite jeweled discs and myriad precious flowers and with pure clear crystals. Right? You're going to adorn your temple with all these things and make it the jewel that it is. The ocean of characteristics of the various colors appeared over an infinite extent. There were banners of precious stones constantly emitting, listen to this, shining light. Light was shining everywhere at the Buddha's enlightenment. And that's what's happening with the Shinzan Shiki. You're going to have light coming from all 10 directions. And producing beautiful sounds. You'll hear all kinds of drumming and singing and dancing and chanting. Nets of myriad gems and garlands of exquisitely scented flowers hung all around. The finest jewels appeared spontaneously, raining inexhaustible quantities of gems and beautiful flowers all over the earth. Right? This earth is so precious. And it's just a rain of gems and jewels. So we're entering, the Shinzan Shiki is a way to enter this particular way of thinking. Right? You're going to have banners. They're going to be, and I'll show you some images of the banners that are made. But the point is to bring us back into this real world, right? We don't see it. We don't see the magnificence of this world. But when we do a celebration, when we do a ritual like the Shinzan Shiki, it just opens up. We start to see it, or at least the potential is there. But we need to know what we're looking for. And reading the Avatamsaka Sutra gives us some ways of orienting our mind. There were rows of jeweled trees, their branches and foliage lustrous and luxuriant. Wow, can you imagine rows of trees made of jewels? You don't have to plant a jeweled tree. You've got the jeweled tree there. And each of you are ornaments on that jeweled tree of great tree. By the Buddha's spiritual power, he caused all the adornments of this enlightenment site to be reflected there. And now here it goes. The tree of enlightenment was tall and outstanding, right? Its trunk was diamond. Its main boughs were lapis lazuli. Its branches and twigs were of various precious elements, the leaves spreading in all directions. Provided shade like clouds. It's wonderful. I was walking this morning with my daughter, and we walked under a canopy of trees, and she was looking up at the leaves and the shade, that the heat from the sun. Even in the morning now, it's so hot and humid here in Iowa. I don't know about great tree, but it's humid, right? And so to go under that canopy was so refreshing, right? So that's what trees do. The precious blossoms were of various colors. The branching twigs spread out their shadows. Also, the fruits were jewels containing a blazing radiance. We're eating jewels, right? The fruit. What do we're drawing in the oxygen from the trees. That is every breath is precious, like a gem. Every breath we take is thanks to these trees, thanks to all this vegetation around us, that when we breathe in, and the Dharma center is an oxygenator for our spirit, right? We go there to receive that. And the Shinzan Shiki is, again, it's to acknowledge that, hey, this is a place that you can trust. And we need these places. We need these places that we can go to find refuge, to take refuge. Why do we need these places? Well, it's important, one, to realize that a Zen teacher doesn't do anything by themselves. A Zen teacher does not do anything at all. Zero. They do by themselves. Everything is done in concert with a million other beings. And this is very important. You really get to see this. When we did my teacher's Shinzan Shiki, Dai-En Roshi, when we did her Shinzan Shiki, I got to witness how she interacted with several of her teachers and other Sangha members. It was something that I never saw before. You know, we see our teachers as these isolated beings, as if they're just like a gem carved out of a rock and there's no connection with anything else. I don't know, maybe you don't see your teacher that way, but when you're a one Sangha and there's not a lot of collaboration with other groups in the immediate area, there may be other Buddhist groups, etc. I know there's other Buddhist groups in your area, but we don't see the, okay, it seems like everybody's doing their own independent thing. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. And Soto Zen really ties us to, we're doing this together with others. And so for me, seeing my teacher, we were located in central Pennsylvania in the midst of corn and soy fields and mountains, and there wasn't a lot around us. And then we had this convergence of all these teachers from Japan and the United States, and I could see how my teacher was interacting with all of these people, and it just humanized her for me. That was a real benefit and I think you'll see that. You'll see that with your teacher as well. And it also, the other thing is that when we do this Shinzan Shiki, it reinforces a kind of accountability. And, Buddhist centers, a lot, especially in the United States, there's so much independence there. And many of us come to Buddhism because we have something, we're looking for something more than our mainstream institutions have provided us thus far. And at the same time, we lose that sense of interdependence. It's odd because we come into a Zen center that is all about preaching interdependence, and yet here we are super independent. You have to be, to a certain degree, to leave your institution of your origins and to practice Buddhism. I'm assuming, maybe not all of you, this is not the case for all of you, but most of us in the United States come from a non-Buddhist background, unless you're Asian American. And so it takes some degree of independence. It kind of almost, being Buddhist almost reinforces this kind of cancerous independence that is endemic to US culture. It enforces a independence that's not very healthy to be a Buddhist, because you have to let go of all of these ties and there may be good reason for letting those things go. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. I mean, I certainly did, but it takes a tremendous amount of courage, confidence, leaving. Maybe you can't, your family might not know or understand what you're doing, why you're doing it. And yet here's a tradition that is radically interdependent and espouses the teachings of interdependence. And so it might come as a surprise. Well, why do we need this? Why do we need this ceremony? Well, again, that question comes from a place of radical independence, and Buddhism is not about that. It never has been, and especially Soto Zen. Enlightenment never happens by oneself. This is, so if you look at the Denkoroku, the stories of enlightenment, all these past masters, starting with the Buddha, he said, I and all of us together attain enlightenment. Together with all beings, I attain enlightenment. Not all by myself. And Soto Zen is really, really big on it. It's not about personal enlightenment. Our practice is not, never, ever, ever about personal enlightenment or about you. It's about everybody attaining enlightenment together. And this is a teaching we sorely need in our country, in our culture right now, that we're doing this. We're not all by ourselves. In fact, we can rely on each other. We can rely on each other. That's the gift of the Shin. We actually, with Shinzan Shiki, you've got to, you've got to rely on others because there's too many moving parts. And nobody knows the whole, but we're like a colony of ants or a colony of bees. You communicate with the ones immediately around you, and there's this sense of the whole. You know, you become part of a whole, a flock of birds working together. This morning I also saw, you know, just like gnats swarming around in a circle. None of them were getting upset with each other. They were just doing their thing. And that's what we do. Shinzan Chika is just a big dance. We can't see the whole. We can't see the whole, but we're playing our specific part, and our part is absolutely vital. Your part is absolutely vital. Never underestimate what you are contributing to this. It's, if you choose to do something, do it wholeheartedly. This is where the Zen teachings come in of wholehearted practice. When you're doing Tenzo, for example, wholeheartedly, you're not, you take full responsibility and you're creating the world. With your practice, you create the entire universe. That's our teaching. That's Soto Zen teaching. The entire universe is born every moment with your activity. So we take that very seriously and we do what we can do. And we're all doing that. We're all doing that together. And it's just creating this amazing sound vibration that ripples through your physical area, the Great Tree Temple, but also Asheville, North Carolina, right? You're going to have this rippling effect out. And it affects you, your families, everything around you. Because you're dancing and people will see that dance from the outside. You'll be on the inside. You'll be on the inside of it. And other people will be watching from the outside with amazement. They'll be like, wow, what the hell are they doing over there in North Carolina, in Nashville? a great tree Zen temple. What are they doing over there? I want to go check it out, right? Because you guys will become like magnets. Everybody coming together like a magnet and just drawing other people in, and they're going to see all that light. They're going to see all that Dharma light, and it's very inspiring to see the Japanese priests practice. I'm inspired by Japanese priests. I see them. Teijo and I, we were in at Zen Shuji. What was it now? 2 years ago almost, for the anniversary of Keizan, and then the 100th anniversary for Zen Shuji, 100th anniversary for Soto Zen in America. And what were we doing up there on the altar? All of us, we were all dancing. We were all dancing. It doesn't look like it. It looks like we're bowing and chanting and it's very formal, but it's all we're moving together in one dance. And that's the attitude we want to have for Shinzan Shiki. We want to have an attitude of we're all dancing together. We're all playing our part. Yeah, somebody might spill something here and there. No big deal. We do it. We clean up after each other. Right? We take care of each other. And we look out for each other. It's just a wonderful way to practice together. The last thing I would like to share is just the importance of letting go of control. the importance of letting go of control. That's going to be a huge part of this. You really realize in a profound way that you're not in control when you have a Shinzan Shiki. Again, like I said before, there's so many moving parts going on, and we just do our small part. We're trusting that the universe has got our back. We're trusting in the Buddha. We're trusting in the Dharma, and we're trusting in the Sangha. So what I'd like to do right now is share some images from Shinzan Shiki, two Shinzan Shikis. I just have a few, so I don't want to get your hopes up too high for this, but just to get a sense of things. So if I can share my screen, if you can allow my screen to be shared, then I will do so. Great, thanks.
Let me get that for you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No problem.
Okay, try again.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. Here we go. All right. I'm assuming you guys can see this. There we go. Oh, okay. All right. So the first image here, this is actually of Yuko Wakayama. And look at the robe that she's, I mean, here's Yuko-san. I'm sorry, I called her. She actually has changed her last name. But Yuko-san, she was a tremendous, tremendous help for my teacher prior to and during our Shinzan Chiki. She lived at our Zen Center at Mount Equity Zendo for 2 years. And her practice was just outstanding. It really upped the ante for all of us. We learned how to pay attention in ways that we never could dream of. And simply watching how the Japanese work together is a teaching for us Americans. Again, because we have this in our culture, we hold on to that sense of independence, self-reliance so tightly. But to see the Japanese, they don't have that same ethic or ethos in their culture, and it really gets magnified when you take it to the level of a Zen temple or a Japanese Zen temple, and even more so when it comes to a female Zen temple, the Nisoto, where Yuko-san had trained. Because in many ways, the women practitioners are far more strong in their practice than the men, and far more strict with themselves. And Yuko-san was just an amazing example. So I'm just so amazed to see her in this. I saw her before she had her transmission. I practiced with her before her transmission, and then when I went to do my Zuisei in Japan, she was there, and she was wearing black robes, and now she's a head of her own temple in Japan. So you can see the background there. There's those buildings in the background. This is in a city in Japan, I think somewhere in Tokyo. And these banners are part of the ceremony, right? Those are the banners that the Avatamsaka Sutra is talking about. These jewel banners made of jewels, right? And then you've got the umbrella here. That's typical. And look at her robe, the red robe, and then this beautiful ornate funzoe. So it's an honoring. The robe is not for the teacher. The robe is for the sangha. That's the thing to keep in mind here. With when you see your teacher wearing these special robes, it's for you. When we were making my teacher's funzoe, which you need, I don't know what the requirements are for the Shinzan Shiki, but it seemed like the funzoe, I'm not sure if that's a requirement or not, but when we were making that particular robe, we were taught specifically, the robe is not for the teacher, the robe is for the sangha. And so that's something to keep in mind. We're honoring the teacher through the robe, but actually it's a way of honoring yourselves, right? You have this great, amazing teacher, and the teacher is a part of you. And then, of course, Aoyama Roshi was present at both, I believe, Yuko-san's and, of course, my teachers, because you get to meet your teacher's teacher. We forget that we almost always see our teachers by themselves without another teacher. And it's just amazing for us, for me, to see that my teacher had a teacher. Like and to see her bow to her teacher and like receive her teacher with reverence. And it shows us an example of how to be with our teachers, but not in an egoistic, self-serving way. We're not seeing the teacher as a guru model. Soto Zen is not a guru model. We see our teachers, we practice that way because that's our practice, right? That's how we develop ourselves. It's for ourselves that we do that. We're not doing it. The teacher is there to help us along to become Buddhas. And the way you do that is you bow to your teacher, you serve your teacher. That's how it happens. That's how it works. And so when I see this image of Oyama Roshi, I just remember her presence, her deep presence at the ceremony for my teacher. And I remember seeing her, she had this way of talking. She gave a couple of talks. I could see how all of the nuns were serving her, and I saw how my teacher was with her. And then at the end of the ceremony, it was very interesting. We were putting everything away, starting to take down things, and she was sitting in a chair, just so still. And I thought, wow, I'm just so happy this teacher is here right now. And it wasn't just Oyama Roshi, because she's working with other teachers herself. So there's this whole network of teachers working together, right? No mountain stands alone. Now, this was, it's hard to see this, but this is a parade going up. So you can see like Jizo statues here, but this is a parade walking up. A lot of temples have graveyards either as a part of them or next to them. So this looks like a graveyard over here. And Jizos, you can see their red bibs here. And then here's the parade kind of walking. It's hard to see in this one, but walking up the path towards the temple. And that's part of the ceremony too. The ceremony doesn't begin inside the temple. The ceremony begins outside of the temple, and the teacher starts at a place. Traditionally, it's supposed to be like they're walking in from another location, maybe from 20 miles away or something, 50 miles away. They're walking there, and then traditionally that is, and then everybody is prepared for them. They meet them at the entrance and parade them into the temple, because this is a big thing. This is your teacher has been teaching at your temple since the start, right? So it's hard you've got to reimagine that what's going on here is now with the Shinzan Shiki, the teacher is formally being installed not only by the greater Soto Zen of the United States and Japan. Your teacher is being installed by the entire universe. The whole universe is installing your teacher in that seat of enlightenment at your temple, right? So the whole universe is acknowledging this is the place where the Buddha teaches. This is the place where the Buddha sits. This is a place of refuge for the entire universe. This is a huge thing. This is a huge honor. It's a huge honor for your temple to be in this situation that it is. So you got to take your mindset out of all the past history. That past history is all gone into this. It's important, and now you got to let go of all that. You got to let go of all that, and now we're honoring. We're saying the whole universe has created this to happen. It's not just one teacher. It's not just your Sangha. It's the entire universe putting its seal of approval. The entire universe is stamping itself down in Asheville, North Carolina on that day. It's saying, yes, this is a place where we want the Dharma to be manifested and taught. This is an authentic place where you can rest assured you're going to find the Dharma here. All right. Oh, okay. I forgot we got a video here, so you can hear the sounds of the bells. Can you guys hear that? I hope so.
No.
No.
No. Oh, shoot. Okay.
Might need to share
Uh,
audio as well.
yeah. Hold on. Let me pause that for a second. Let me do it. Share audio. Yeah. Advanced.
You know how to do it?
I do. I do. It's yeah, computer audio. All right, and then
Glenn
uh,
says that you do it by when you
oh,
put
I
your
hear. I
screen
see
share.
here. Options here. Sound. Here it is. Okay, I figured it out. There we go. Share sound. Optimize for that. Okay. All right. Let me try that again. Tell me if you can't hear this.
We could hear it.
You can hear it. Okay, good. You guys know those sounds, right? I have to thank Yuko-san for her sharing this with me. That's how I got a hold of this. All right, so this is all the music accompanying the entrance of the teacher to the mountain seat. Notice the staff that she's holding, red robe, all that signifying the authority. Yeah. All right. Here's my teacher, Dai-En Roshi, and you can see that same staff, the red robe, the the whisk that she held, and then her robe, this what we call funzoe. Funzoe, interestingly, just to give you a little bit of background on the funzoe, it's a beautiful ornate robe, and large numbers of us spent at least over a year working on putting that robe together, and it had great significance for us because the material that we used was discarded material that Dai-En Roshi had procured from being on the alms rounds in Japan. And Oyama Roshi, the image you saw back there, Oyama Roshi, when of course when you go on the alms round, you don't go for yourself, you go for the whole temple. And somebody was discarding old kimono material, and my teacher saw this on the sidewalk of a kimono shop, and the guy said, it's all trash, take whatever you want. So she took as much as she could carry on her back and brought it back to the temple. And then Oyama Roshi actually gifted that material to her, which we then cut up and made into a robe. And it's interesting, and it's a very ornate robe with clouds and rain, or the rain stitch, so it looks like rain coming out of the clouds, and the kinds of patterns in it that are you don't usually see in a usual robe. And the funzoe the word funzo means literally shit wiping. Funzo means a shit wiping cloth. And it's a teaching that it's to discourage us from desire, right? That's the point of the Dharma, is that we all have this desire to, desires can be good, but oftentimes our desires are not so good. They're not so wholesome. And so the Dharma is all about bringing that desire back down to a workable place. And so the name of this robe is meant to remind us of that. We see this beauty, but it's not something to possess, right? Just like the world around us. We see the world around us, it's something to admire, it's not something to possess. And the same thing goes for the temple. The temple is ours, but we don't own it. We don't possess it. The universe owns it. And that's the Shinzan Shiki is reminding us of that fact. Here's an image of my teacher. She's getting ready to give a talk, and then she's between her two teachers, right? You got Oyama Roshi here, and then her root teacher, Noda Daito Roshi, also. And then this was my Sangha. They were holding those same banners that we saw for Yuko-san, parading her in. Yeah. So our Zen center was so small that we had to actually create a mock temple on the driveway of the property. And so this is what it looked like over here. We got this huge tent, and we did a lot of makeshift stuff, but you can see the flags, the banners here, the drum is over here. Here's the altar, the Buddha's right there. So, and then we got the zabutons down here, and there's all this stuff in the background too. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. And I welcome any questions, comments, thoughts about this that you might have. I'm not sure where you guys are at with it. So, just don't be afraid to ask stuff. I'm no expert. I just want to make clear, I don't know 95% of how to do a Shinzan Shiki. I just follow along, and it's a practice in letting go. You just do what you need to do, and somehow it all comes together. So anyways, that was just my experience. I hope it was helpful for you. But where are you guys with this? Don't be afraid to ask any questions. I'm happy to give you my thoughts on it. But again, I'm not an expert on this either. For that, we would really need to turn to maybe some of the Japanese Sangha that have really done a lot with creating these Shinzan Shiki.
Question.
Yeah.
You said in the beginning, and I've heard this before, that the Buddha said, I realized enlightenment, not with just myself, but with all beings. How come I haven't experienced the enlightenment that he experienced, if that's the case?
Great question. Yeah. Well, that's just it. And Soto Zen says we're just streaming with enlightenment all around us. But the problem is for us is that we don't recognize our interdependence with others. It's always there. It's not a matter of attaining enlightenment as much as uncovering. We don't always see it though. Me too. I don't always see it. Sometimes I think, oh, I'm here all by myself. I don't have any help. But that's not the Dharma. That's not what the Dharma teaches. It's always there. And it's our job. That's what practice is about. And it's also a practice of trust. It's of trust in others. Then this is really, really challenging for a lot of us. Like, I don't know if I can trust. We might think to ourselves, I don't know if I can trust that person. I don't know if I can trust that teacher. Maybe they did something, but that's, we need to keep our minds open, big mind. Daishin is big mind. That's different from my name. We need Daishin, that big open mind, because we're not doing this all by ourselves. And once we recognize, oh, I'm not doing this all by myself, things start to fall into place. I can rely on others. And we also need the other kind of Daishin, that is my name, meaning great faith. We need that too. Great faith is a part of this too. We can have faith in other people. We can trust other people. And this is, I know I'm saying something that might be hard to hear, particularly in our society. And a lot of us come from different religious backgrounds that maybe we don't have as much faith in faith. But when we sit Zazen, that's what we're doing also. We're trusting the Buddha's there. We're trusting the enlightenment's there. And even if we can't see it, it will come. It opens up when it's ready. All right, and then we see. But we got to have that trust that it's there. It's always there. It's always there. It's kind of like we're little babies. The baby can't communicate with the world the way that we can as adults. And it's not aware of itself yet. But as it matures, it starts to become aware. And here's the thing. Here's the thing is that with practice, we become aware that we are the universe. All right? That you go forward and experience myriad things is delusion. This is Genjo Koan. That you go forth by yourself experiencing myriad things is delusion. That the myriad things come forward and experience themselves is enlightenment. Right? So it's this radical shift from this ego self having experiences to this universe working, flowing through this self as this self. We're not selves, we're the universe through the self, right? That's a shift. That's a shift in perception. Keep practicing. Put your effort. I think the key for us is to put our effort into seeing that, to study it in the books, but to also study it in the temple when you're doing ceremony, when you're doing Zazen. And the ceremony will really help you to let go of self because, like I said, it's a dance. Just like a dance, we're not dancing by ourselves in this case. We're dancing with all of the people around us. And so you got to know what's that person doing? What's that person doing? And we get our cues from each other, just like the bees in a beehive, right? Just like the ants in a colony. They're getting that. They're listening to each other, right? We just listen to the universe right around you. Listen to the local universe, and you'll get your cues. You'll know what to do. That's all our practice is about. And we don't have to worry about enlightenment then. Just let that go. Anyways, I don't know if that's helpful. Yeah, you're welcome.
I want to ask you about the function of the head monk, the Shuso, in the ceremony, because I do wear Shuso for Dai-En Roshi's Shinzanshiki.
Right. Do you have a Shuso?
Yes, we do.
Oh, great. Are they here?
Well, he's in Toshoji right now, but he'll be back.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, great. Yeah, the Shuso. Well, the Shuso means the head monk, and their job is also they're picking up a lot of that, the role of just pulling the Sangha along, right? That's what the Shuso is doing, is they're pulling the Sangha along, and the Shuso is going to be looked to as for guidance, for sure. And then, of course, there's a special ceremony around the Shuso. Usually the Shinzan Shiki and the Shuso ceremony go hand in hand. So you have the installation of the head teacher, and then you have the installation of the head monk. And so just as there's a mirror actually taking place, so the teacher gets all kinds of questions from the Sangha, which is, all spontaneous, at least the way that we do it in the United States. It's all spontaneous. You get to ask your Dharma question and in a public ceremony, and your teacher will give you a dharmic answer on the spot, coming from her own alaya vijnana, her own store consciousness, the Buddha's teaching coming forward. And then that's the model for the Shuso. The Shuso is going to then do the same thing a little bit later in that Shinzan Shiki. They stand up there, and their job, their role is to demonstrate their understanding of the Dharma. Hey, he or she is at Toshoji now. They're practicing. They're clarifying their understanding. Hopefully, they're seeing that their self doesn't exist the way they usually think it, and now they're going to be coming back to join you. And you want to test their understanding. You want, like, what wisdom do they have for us, right? So the Shuso is doing this all for you guys as well, and so they get up there on the stage, and it's a public ceremony, and there's a dance to it. There's a whole where they receive the teaching stick, and they're given the privilege to teach the Dharma, right? They should have. Now they've been sitting for a while, they've been practicing, they've been doing ceremony, they've been they've been slowly receiving the Dharma from their teachers, and they should have some clarity. So it's also to recognize the Shuso as a burgeoning teacher, and to encourage that, right? We want teachers, we want to have teachers, we need teachers, we need lots of teachers. And so the Shuso ceremony is to really publicly make this a public event. It's not just a private thing. It's not a private understanding, right? The Dharma is not a private understanding. It's a public. It's meant to be transmitted widely to other people, and I think that's the spirit behind the Shuso ceremony. Yeah. It's so, and I have to say, I had a lot of fun with it. I enjoyed it a lot. And I remember being so anxious and not knowing what to do. I remember not knowing what to do, because like I said, I know about 5% of the ceremony, and there was all these Japanese monks and nuns just converging on the space. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. They knew what they were doing. They went out to Walmart to get more brooms because we didn't have enough brooms. I was like, oh, okay, we need to sweep. Okay. And I'm just watching them kind of just dumbstruck. And I remember maybe it was a few hours before the ceremony, Kilky Roberts was present. I just love her so much. She was there, and she said to me, she saw how I was. She said, you just need to go into your room and sit quietly. And I really appreciated those words, because I was very, very anxious and nervous. I'm going to be up in front of all these people and saying stuff. It was nerve-wracking. I'd never done that before. And Tejo was there too, and she was sitting right next to me, and she was going to be testing me too. They're testing our understanding. Are you really worth your weight? And yeah, so she said, just go to your room and sit quietly. And I really appreciated that instruction there. And I thought, oh yeah, that's right. That's what, I had forgotten. It's not about this hype. There's going to be a lot of hype during this ceremony, but don't get caught up in the hype. Remember to continue to settle your mind. Your mind will get fluffed and unsettled, but just come back and bring it back down and find your breath and remember what your practice is about. Right? Anyways, I enjoyed it a lot. But we don't have the deep insight without that anxiety there too. That's the soil in which the lotus blossom grows, right? We need to have the suffering. That's what I said at the beginning here, is that on a personal level, we're all suffering. Our state is suffering. Our country is suffering. The entire globe is going through a huge shift. The species on the planet are suffering greatly. They're going extinct. And yet here we are. We're deciding to make a celebration. It's crazy when you think about it, but that's where we're at. And we're taking that suffering in and producing Dharma, producing light, producing jewels, producing diamonds. Right?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what the words are on the banners.
Oh, I have to look in the, it's called the Gyoji Kihan. It's a practice manual, and it tells you what words are. Would you like me to get those for you right now? Let me see. I'll get it. Hold on a second. I'll get it for you. I'll tell you what those
We
words.
got the book.
What's
You can
that?
just
Oh, you
give
got
us the page.
what's that? You gonna get it?
We have it. If you can just tell us what page it's on. We've got the Gyojiki Han.
Oh, yeah. I'd have to get it myself. So, tell you what. I'll do that. Maybe. Is there any other questions?
I just want to say hello, Daishin. I enjoyed practicing with you at Mount Equity.
Yeah, it's so good to see you, Chris Rengetsu. Yeah, I remember that. It was wonderful. Well, let me go get that. I don't know the page, so 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I'd have to look at it. Let me go get it. It's just in the other room. Hold on just a sec. And if there's any other questions that come up for you as in this space, maybe just you can put them in the chat or say them out loud. Hi, hi. Good morning. Good morning.
You're getting off of the carpet. You need to go back and lay down. There we go. You silly girl. Whoa.
All right, I got my book here. We're here at our home. We've had a Haitian couple living with us for the past 6, 7 months now, and they're getting ready to transition to their own home. And the whole community here in Ames, several people have been supporting them as they've been trying to find their way from Haiti to here. A bunch of people are here now, helping them move out. So that's what my job is after this talk, is get out of my robes and get into my work clothes and help move stuff. But here's the Gyojiki Han, and so you can see this is the manual that is used for ceremonies, and it includes the Shinzan Shiki, the mountain seat ceremony, but it includes all kinds of other ceremonies too. It's kind of like the go-to. And Shinzan Shiki is listed here as a special event. It's not something that happens every year or every month, right? This is a once in a lifetime event. All right. Procedure for mountain seat ceremony, page 310. That's where it starts. And and here's what will happen is probably the Japanese monks that come there will write out those banners. They'll put the Chinese characters on them. But it's good to know, like, what does this mean? 310, here it is. Okay, so 310. Okay, brocaded banners may be made of silk or 5-colored paper. You saw the 5 colors. On each of the 4 banners, write one phrase of the following 4 phrases. So this is what it says. The great merit of all Buddha Tathagatas is unsurpassed among all things auspicious. All Buddhas all come and enter this place. Listen to that. That's profound. All Buddhas all come and enter this place. That's what we're doing. All the Buddhas are coming, right? When you have one Buddha, you have all of them. So this ground is most auspicious. This ground is most auspicious. Or the way the Avatamsaka Sutra says it, the ground is diamond, right? But we got to put it's a mindset. It's a mindset. It's a shift of perception. We can't see it, but we got to, the more that you stand in the rain, you're going to get wet. If you stand in the rain, you're going to get wet. You might not get this right now, but I'm raining the Dharma, right? I'm not raining it. The Dharma is being rained, right? We're putting the water of the Dharma there to grow those seeds. And you keep putting effort into it, keep your practice up, keep meditating, do ceremony, keep listening to your teacher, listen to the Dharma, and you're gonna, things will click. Things will click. But this is the beauty of it doesn't come easy. And we wouldn't respect it as much as if it came too easy. That's the teaching of my teacher. You don't appreciate anything that comes to you without effort. And so putting that effort in is also where the seeing starts to manifest as well. See, I'm glad you asked that question, because I didn't even know what was on those banners until just now. I didn't know. I had no idea what was on those banners. I was like, oh, those are cool banners. Now I know. All the Buddhas are coming. All the Buddhas come and enter this place. So this ground is most auspicious. Yeah. You guys know more than I did when we did this ceremony. I mean, it's like 30 pages of ceremony here. But you don't have to know this. You don't have to know all this. You just follow what's going on, and you'll get little pieces here and there. And it's a wonderful opportunity, really, for the Sangha to embrace the Dharma through the bigger Sangha, the Mahasangha. It's a wonderful opportunity. Everybody's going to be working together at this. You have to rely on each other, and it's an experience you will never forget. You'll be so happy you did it. It's well worth the effort. Right. So where are we at here? Anything else in last minute questions, or maybe we can end there? Oh,
We need to finish up, Daishin. I
sure,
think
sure.
it's almost 11 o'clock, so.
Okay. All right, let's do it. Thank you, Tejo. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to offer my small understanding here.
Thank you very much. This was really great.